Good morning, everyone. This is another stream. We're going to be building today something with three.js and GLSL. And while we are connecting and checking everything is good, just let me know if the sound is okay. I'm going to open up some wine. It's Pinot Grigio today. Right. Pour some wine. Just let me know in the chat if everything is perfect as always. It is. It's one of the coolest websites I ever seen by the resin. I'm not going to be replicating the whole website, obviously. Just one simple effect from this website. I marked this video not for kids, not only because Corn Revolution, but also because I'm drinking wine. Hey everyone, I know there's a delay, so I'm gonna switch my screens meanwhile, and I hope everything is good. Just let me know, guys. This is the website we're gonna be kind of building today, just one simple effect. I have a lot of respect to this studio. It is one of the best studios in the world. I mean, in building those amazing WebGL experiences. And it's nice that they actually use three.js a lot of times, so which means three.js is cool if you haven't noticed yourself yet. All right. So I have my morning wine. Come on, just say something. If everything is working, just let me know. Yay, thank you, Roman. All right. One more minute and let's get started. So I'm still on my old laptop, but hopefully it's gonna be good. I'm still expecting some parts for my drowned laptop in Pacifico. So hopefully next week it's gonna be a new laptop. I mean, the old new fixed laptop. So let's get started. I'm gonna call this one Revo because it's like Corn Revolution. And I'm gonna copy paste my usual template just to get started with everything. I'm gonna try to run that one. Screen is switched. Everything's gotta be good. Let's get going. So I'm gonna go to my Revo folder. I'm gonna switch my node. I'm gonna try to run everything. Gonna install the dependencies. Application warning. Is that okay? I think it's good. In the end, it's good. Yay! All right. So it's installing something, and what I'm going to be creating today, we're going to try to create today. Hopefully, it's going to be good. Like this text effect, which you see on the the main screen of this website, which is pretty cool and consists from a couple of parts. I think particle parts is actually kind of easy. What I was interested in is the text effect, because they have this text effect throughout the whole website. Like this rendering of the website is pretty cool, actually. Hey, thank you. So all the texts are being rendered this way, and they have this like fancy outline effect on the text, and that's what we're gonna try to recreate today. It's simple, but I think this is like, this website is actually two effects for me. This is the text effect with particles, and then all this 3D stuff in the background, because it's so damn cool. Oh, hey to Afghanistan too. I've never heard anyone watched me from Afghanistan before. I to Bangladesh. Lots of countries today. Okay. So I think it should be already up, my template. If I go to localhost, yeah, there we go. We just see it. I'm gonna make a simple layout window. I'm gonna open up everything. For some reason, Parcel just drains all the resources from my laptop. So my fan go crazy once I start it. Something like this. I don't think I need much of a screen space today, for the demo at least. All right. Alrighty, so I'm gonna remove this one. Okay, so we have the basic template with three.js. Hopefully you see all the code and everything stuff. Здорово. Доброго ранку. And let's get going. Buenos dias. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué pedo? Where do we start? So, to render text in three.js, I mean in WebGL at all, there are a couple of ways to do that. There's like three text geometry thing, where you could just like create an actual 3D object from the text, which you don't really need that often, because most often you just need to render some text inside your WebGL demo. And when you want just the text in WebGL demo, there are also a couple of like ways or branches that you could go with. One of the most obvious ones, just use an image. If you have a texture with the text, you could just use the image. If you just have let's say one title throughout the website with the text written with the text, I think it's better to use just an image. But if you have a lot of text, just like the guys at Resin had, like lots of titles throughout the website and with some special effects, there's no other way than to use like SDF, sign distance fields. So SDF text, if you go in Google, it's usually used on the Google Maps, I think, or Leaflet. I'm not sure. Some of the most famous maps usually use this kind of thing. So to render text with an SDF method, you would actually need to use some kind of blurred text like this one, and then you could actually convert that one to kind of a vector format. So it's always kind of funny for me that to actually make a crispy text in WebGL, you have to use the blurred text texture to do that. So if not to use just an actual image, you would use this one. But the reason is that you could render this text in any size that you want, like the big one, the small one, any kind of size. Because if you just use the texture, it's not gonna scale good, like if you upscale it or downscale it. So this is how usually the SDF look like. But then there's like the updated method of rendering the SDF text and SDF shapes and just the sign and distance field. It's like multi-sign and distance field, I guess, right? Because you in this one you only use the black and white, even though like every image had like 3 channels, you only use one channel here in the end. I mean, all the channels are the same, but then you could use a couple of channels, and with that I think you can achieve like even more crispy text, and like it's the better approach. And I think currently is the best practice out there to render those SDF texts. And then there's a module to do that, which is called 3BM font from another big cool studio out there, Jam3, which is also like, I'm a fan of them. So I'm gonna be using that one. And if you go there, you have a demo, how to render text. It even had some fancy effect on that demo. I think, yeah, let's click for demo. This is pretty cool, right? This is on itself is already a cool effect that you could use on some award-winning website. I need some wine. Hola. So we're gonna be creating a different kind of effect with an outline and with a moving outline. And I mean, it might not look that cool maybe for a newbie, but this is actually a pretty, I mean, the idea of creating this effect, I actually like it, and that's why I like to share the ideas that I like. And this is a pretty cool, neat idea how to do that. I'm not sure there's another way to do that, but this one is pretty cool. So okay, so for this text, guys actually used the MSDF and actually used the 3BM font, kind of used 3BM font text renderer. So let's try to do that as well. So I already downloaded the assets that we need to do that. So first of all, we would need this image. This is how the font converted to the MSDF format looks like. So it's like, it's weird, but this is the thing that you use in WebGL to render crispy fonts. Kind of a vector. I mean, you could think of it as a, like, there's no way to render something vector in WebGL, obviously, but this is the way to do the crispy things in WebGL. All right. And there's a JSON which actually kind of describes where each letter is in this texture. So like position, the distance between the next letter, and also some meta information like the actual chart set that we have here, and then like the line height and all those kind of stuff. This is like a font. So let's create the font folder. Enough for play. Let's start. The font is called Manifold, so I believe if you just Google Manifold font, you'll get this like same font. And to convert this one, I think there's like a couple of online tools, and there's also Node.js script which you can use to convert like any TTF to like JSON and PNG. All right, so let's try to use these assets in my template. So first of all, I'm gonna import them. So I'm gonna import like font JSON, and then like font texture. I think it was PNG, right? PNG. So now we have both of them. Now I'm gonna head to the repo of the Beam font, and I think they had to have some examples here, like the test thing, and then there's a couple of ways you could render text, like 3D, 2D, MSDF. MSDF is what I'm looking for. So for this, I need to preload. First, I need to preload some parts. So we're using the material, which is using the texture, and then we're using this geometry, which is using the actual JSON file that I'm using there. So first of all, I'm gonna preload the texture, and like make a texture out of the URL that I have currently. Good morning, Hiva Humenta. And let's just do that. New free texture. I'm using now Sublime Text, like a hardcore 3.js programming. I got absolutely no autocomplete here. So I'm gonna load the font texture, and when it loads, I'm gonna have the texture in here. So I'm gonna set that this font texture equals T, log this font texture. And then I could do all the other stuff once I've loaded this stuff. And instead of add objects, I'm gonna add text here. So now I have the JSON. It's not really preloaded because I just imported that one into my JavaScript, and I have the texture loaded already. And just to check, it's all Gucci. Let's see. Yes, I have the texture. It's been loaded, perfect, fine. Now I have to copy the example text just to render the PM font. So I'm going to create the geometry. This geometry create, and then there's some text. Let's just type some hello. I don't think I need to see the files. Line, let's say center. And this is going to be the font texture that I just created. So it's going to be this font texture. And then I need to create the material. And this one is going to be using this font texture again. And some color palette. Well, I could just use the red one. And then a bunch of stuff, and I could finally add this to the actual scene. So I need the layout just so I could correctly position my text in my scene. I don't think I need this specific part. And then I think from what I remember, this text is usually used, like it's usually rendered first with a really big size. So I need to scale this one. Hey, hi to UK. So I think I will have to scale this one a little bit. I think I had like the coefficient, I think it's 100. I need to scale it by 100 just to see it. So we not waste time, yeah. Let's see. And then I'm gonna add this one to my scene. So text is an actual mesh, which is using this geometry and this material. Let's call it this material text. There we go. Gotta see something now. We don't, because create text is not defined, because I have to import all the dependencies, obviously. How could I forget about that? So they are importing from some local stuff. I obviously need to go to the actual example and import this. This is what I need. So create geometry and load font. All right, and also need the MSDF. So I believe to render the MSDF, I will need to import one of them with from the MSDF. I don't think I need the load BM font actually. But I believe in the MSDF shader I also need to import MSDF. Yeah, this is I mean, it's not really obvious how to use MSDF from this driver, because the basic example is not the MSDF example. So what I also need, I need to import this one. So I don't actually need. Let's do this like MSDF shader equals require. And I think we should go to shaders, MSDF here. Let's just see if we're getting something. This is an actual shader to do the computation for us. Something is happening. I believe the dependencies are being downloaded. Yeah, it's building something. Okay, at least it opened the scene. Doesn't show me anything. Tree is not defined. Yeah. So because this library, I mean, maybe it's not really updated regularly, we just need to do something like this. Just need to make three.js global. All right, what else? Create text is not defined. Create, I think it's create geometry. So I'm gonna just replace that. Right, geom is not defined because this is this geom now. Scale is not a function because this is scale set. Why am I making all those mistakes? So now we arrive at this error. And I mean, first I thought this has something to do with my laptop, because it actually says that this extension is not supported, like the GLSL US standard derivative is not supported. And this is actually the best way to render something smooth is actually to use this extension. And turns out, I mean, not actually turning out, because I still have like only a vague idea of the reasoning behind this, but the new three.js shaders are being switched to like the new GLSL syntax. And like if we just go to the, so we still have this object, right? But if we go to the my old shader, and if I go to the fragment, let's say fragment shader, and make a mistake there, I'm gonna see the full source of the shader, and then you'll see that the version of the shader is actually like GLSL3. I believe this is GLSL3 syntax. And then there's a whole bunch of defines there. I don't know at which point 3.js shaders are being switched to this syntax, but nevertheless, they are now. So we're not really using the, like, when we're using texture 2D, we're not really using texture 2D anymore. We're just using the texture from the new syntax because it's been redefined. And with this syntax, you don't have to enable those like extensions, I believe. They are just working by default. They are enabled by default. So to make the MSDF shader work, we need to switch that one to this same syntax. And to do this, I will need to edit this shader. And to edit this shader, I'm no longer able to use it from the node models folder. So to do this, you would actually need, this is turning out to be a very hacky stream, right? I was hoping to do the particles, but I believe maybe particles are too easy part, so we just do the text. Because it's pretty complicated on itself. Okay, we go to shaders, we go, not these shaders actually. We go to shaders, MSDF.js, and I'm gonna just, instead of importing that one from here, I'm gonna just import that one like from here. So I'm gonna create another file. I'm gonna see the actual sources of those shaders. I think there's also a bunch of stuff that I don't really need. We need to switch the syntax from one to the other. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And I hate, maybe, hopefully this would be something useful for people having this issue with MSDF rendering. I don't really need the arrays anymore, so I believe I just switched the Vertex Shader to the new syntax. Maybe there's a better way. If you know this, just tell me. That's probably gotta be the better way. Just to see something we need to fix. All right, let's fix everything. So this is some parts of the JavaScript in this shader, which is kind of crazy. I'm gonna remove them. I'm gonna remove this too, this too. I don't think I need this, but still, I'm gonna leave it for now. So I'm just converting shaders to another syntax at the moment. So for now, I should get the same error that I got. Let's see. MSDF. Maybe I should just restart all this stuff. Oh, because I had two of them now. Yeah, I forgot to comment the other one. Okay, so I probably have the same error now. 10. Okay, so let's now let's switch to the new syntax. So I have the Vertex Shadow. Let's start with the Vertex Shadow. I'm gonna make an error in an actual shader in the vertex, and this is how it looks like. So I have to do like this part to switch it to a new syntax actually. So they also have a bunch of defines. So instead of attributes, varying and texture 2D, we're actually using some other keywords now, like in, out, or just a texture. And precision, IP float. This is what I actually wanted to. I'm copy pasting to the wrong place, obviously. I need to copy paste it to my MSDF shader, not here. Okay. So I'm gonna go to MSDF. Gonna copy paste this. So right now, I think I'm gonna remove the error from here. All right. Vertex shader 18. Width no match enrolled. So we still have this error in the fragment shader. Now we need to switch fragment shader to the new syntax as well. So for this, I'm gonna make another error in my actual shader. I mean, this is all hacky, right? But we are heading to a pretty cool effect. So this is like all the defines that I need to use here. So I'm gonna go to my MSDF shader, and instead of this, I'm gonna copy paste this. All right. this should be enough to switch me into the correct 18, something on the line 18. Sample illegal use of a keyword. Yeah, there's a bunch of new error with a new syntax. So I'm gonna call this one my sample. I think you might have encountered new errors in your shaders, like when you use the texture named texture. Now you have an error because three.js started to use new syntax for the shaders, and now this is a reserved keyword. So there's another error here. 18, because I forgot the closing. Which is this? This is in the Vertex shader, so I forgot the closing bracket. So right now we're doing the boring stuff. Okay, 92. It's one with 92. Yeah, still have this error. So I think I removed all the errors now. Yeah, so we switched to new syntax, no errors whatsoever. So it's kind of good. We also have the text now, finally. So you just need to do a little bit of the playing with the shader. All right. And I think the hello needs to be like flipped or something, because we are looking at it from like weird angle. So I think the y-axis should be flipped, and then I think just to see this one. Now let's head to the shader stuff finally. So now we have the hello. Now we could actually center this hello. I don't really need this plane anymore, to be honest. Let's switch my hello to the center now. To do this, I'm gonna use this layout that I had like here. Just console log the layout. Text layout, and inside the layout I have the width and the height. I'm gonna use this width and the height to just you know, to move my mesh so it's actually centered. Set, and then because I already scaled and this geometry is not scaled, and I'm using the not scaled sizes, so I'm gonna switch this one by the layout width divided by 2, and then same goes for height divided by 2, and then 0. Should be something meaningful, right? Now it's the wrong way. It's all the wrong way. Come on, why can't I put my cursor anywhere? What's wrong? Where did my cursor disappear? Okay, it's finally here again. So it's obviously minus, and then yeah. So I think we centered the title now. It's all good. Now we could work out the title. So we could actually dig into the source code of the MSDF, and we could find out like how it actually work in this effect, right? So first of all, we actually get in the texture, like my sample from the text, we're sampling the texture, and those VUV are being calculated from like this JSON file. This is what the actual 3BM font doing. It's calculating those UV, so we could just use the shader and do. Yeah, probably I will upload this part of the code on Patreon for my supporters. So we have then the median function, which takes like the maximum from all the channels. And this is how you get the actual shape of the font here. So let's just try to output something to see how it's working. So instead of this, I'm gonna use my sample. This is what you're actually getting in the texture. And then there's like this alpha that we are calculating, and then we could just output this alpha. Alpha is already the text, and then if alpha is multiplied with some color, you just get the actual color. And because I multiplied with the red color, and now I'm just writing my own shader. It's not actually the library anymore, it's my own shader. This is actually, I'm in control of the color of the text. So I'm going to switch the background. There's a lot of things to do now to make it look like on the website. Right. So now we're gonna go and dig into this shader and write some shaders. So it's 6 trees, just a little bit darker. Yeah. So we are on a dark background. So as you could see, the letters are overlapping. And this is how you could achieve like the text rendering yourself, just using any texture or any signed distance field texture or any MSDF texture. Right. So we have this. And to do this, we actually use the f-width derivatives. It's just the way to like convert the blurred shape to the crisp shape. You could think of it this way. The boilerplate is on Patreon, so you can download it. All right. So let's continue to this effect. First of all, we have the text. If I just remove this, and I have the text. We have the text here. This is a 3D text. It's just plain. Just a couple of planes with the textures. What I want to do, first of all, I want to create the outline of this text, because if you go to this website, you see this. They have the outline, and then they have this like the dash or the stroke, like the SVG stroke dash affect thing, like following the shape of the letter. And actually, they've done this all inside one shader. This is pretty amazing. So let's first do I'm gonna call this one fill, because this is from the filled text. And then the end, we're just using this one as a fill. And I'm gonna create this stroke now. Yes, it's gotta be somewhere in the end. Switch syntax. Ooh, I need some wine. Even though we haven't done anything real complicated, it still requires some brain power. All right, stroke. How do you do stroke? Actually, you do it the same exact way that you do like the fill text, but you just do it both ways. You do the fill like to the outside world, and then you do the fill to the inside, like not the world, but the inside space of the letters. And then you multiply them and you get the actual like stroke. And for this, we're going to use we're going to create the border, which is going to be this width function, like derivative function from the same this thing. So we are right now extending the MSDF shader to create like cool letters now. And then I'm going to create the outline. Like when you have this this, you can already see how they create the filled text. And we could do the same to create the outline. Could use the smooth step, and I think we gotta have some line width, like the float width. And I believe it's gotta be in like relative units, so it should be like, I don't know, 0.1 maybe, something like this. And then it's gonna be 0, then the width, and then this border. And then let's just try to outline this. I mean, to show this. I'm gonna do this. Let's see, we're getting something. It's not really what I expected that to be, but hopefully we're gonna do what we need to do now. So the next thing, I'm gonna multiply this outline with the same function, but look in the other direction. So instead of doing this like this, I'm gonna do it the other way. I think I messed up the things. It's not the width and the border. It's actually something else. Because I have to use this sigdist function here again. So it's got to be the border and the sigdist, I think. And then for the second one, it's got to be the same, I think. my notes here. It's gotta be and then the width, and then again the sig dist. That's why I get this weird shape, because what I actually needed to get is like the black letters on the white background. So let's just test it again. Yeah. So now we're getting just the fill. I mean, we're looking inside this shape, and then if I get this, like instead of that one, not getting anything. I think they are more like narrow or something, so I gotta multiply those two. But let's do this way. So it looks the other way. I'm gonna subtract minus here. So now, yeah. So now we get the like white outside, and we get the white inside. But you can notice that the white inside is actually more like, it's bolder than the black inside that we get here. They're more narrow. So now if I multiply those two, I'm actually gonna get the outline of the letters. And I could also like save the fill here. And now I get the actual outlined letters now. How cool is that, right? In WebGL, in just one shader from this one same image that we're using there. All right, so now we have this thing. Okay, the next thing is going to be to create the actual moving dashes inside those outlines. To do that, we would actually need another texture, which I just downloaded from their website. It's called the gradient PNG. And the funny thing about that one, if you just open those two, Photoshop. I'm kind of curious how they did that, but this is actual. Okay, maybe. You could notice that the letters are in the same places. I mean, the sizes of the texture are different, but the letters are in the same places. So somehow they maybe updated the script that produces this MSDF texture, and they updated it in a way that actually produces those gradient maps. And you could also notice that those gradient maps, they are actually running like from the, for instance, from black and letter P until the white, until the end of the stroke. And then there's another stroke which also runs the same way. So like we got the numbers from 0 to 1 on this stroke. So we could actually use this texture to maybe create this effect. So let's do that. Kind of curious how they did this, but I have a couple of ideas. Like you could always drew this one in the Canvas 2D with some font processing stuff. You could process font, and then you could get all the points on each letter, and then you could connect them with just one gradient line. Probably that was the way. That's the idea, but I'm curious how they did that, of course. All right, so let's connect this texture here. So we have the sampler 2D map, and then let's say we have the gradient map as well. I'm gonna right here. So I'm gonna inside my MSDF, switch to JavaScript back again. I'm gonna import my gradient map. I'm gonna copy paste this one to the to the font. Import gradient from this was called gradient PNG, right? Right. And then here, when I'm using my uniforms, I'm going to create the gradient map T. Plot and this thing gradient texture. So now we have this gradient map, and I could actually sample that one in my shader now. Everything is still working perfect. And I could actually sample it with the same UVs, because the images at the same site, the same UVs apply, so I could actually get the gradient. Let's call it gradient, and it's going to be gradient map. And I'm going to output it for the debug process here. Let's see what's going to happen. So now we have this gradient map in my shader as well, because I just imported one. So we have the gradient map covering exactly the outline of my shapes, you know? And now I could create something pretty cool. I think I would need, at some point, I would need the time variable here as well. So I would just go ahead and add this time. And I have to add the time here as well. Then I have to update this time, like this material text. I'm gonna update the uniform. I'm just updating the uniform time for this material as well. And don't need this, just need the MSDF shader now. So we have the time, we have the gradient. It's time to create some dashes here. So first of all, the gradient, what have I done actually? So yeah, gradient. So first of all, this gr thing actually has like the value between 0 and 1. I don't really need the three-dimensional vector because those numbers are all the same because it's just gray and black and white. So I just need the gr thing. So this gr thing is between 0 and 1. And then I could use the same concept, exactly the same concept that I used here, to create some dash there. For this, I need some value, like how long is the dash in percentage? Like, is it like 0, like half of the whole width of the gradient line or something like this? And how do you call it? Line progress 0.5. Let's say it's going to be half. No, it's going to be third. 1/3 of the. And then I need to use 2 smooth steps to create this mask. So first of all, I'm gonna create a first smooth step. I'm gonna like call it start equals smooth step, and then inside the smooth step I need to sample this gr thing, not sample, but like what that smooth step this thing. So in the end it's gonna be my gr value, but here is gonna be like something and some really small value, because the smooth step works the same way. It's between those 2 values. It's gonna like, what's that? Interpolate the values. So it's gonna be smoothly changing between 0 and 1. And I don't really need this smooth change because I need dashes. I need like black and white thing here. So for this, I'm gonna use like something real small value, so we don't really see the edge of this thing. And the same thing I need to create for this one, except for this one, I'm gonna use this line progress thing. And then line progress minus step. So it looks the other way now. And then when I multiply these 2, let's call it mask. I'm gonna set start. Let's try to see what's gonna be happening here. You could already see that we're getting this like dash, like half of the dash is actually filled. It doesn't look like that beautiful maybe at the moment because it's just the gradient image. We're using derivatives on the gradient image, which is maybe not that perfect usually, but another cool thing we could do here right now is just the half of the shape. You could notice also on the letter O, we have the half of the inside shape and the half of the outside shape. What we could do more is actually like create another variable which is going to be the fract of, let's say, multiplied by 2, gr multiplied by 2, and we could use gr, and we will get 2 dashes actually. And if we add time here, they're going to be moving now. So let's just divide this by 50. Now we have those dashes moving inside there. It's not perfect, but I mean, it should be dependent on these values as well and on the quality of the image, I believe. So maybe you should like sacrifice either quality or automation of creating these font files with something. Anyway, good enough now. how to get started. Just go to the book of shaders and go try your own shaders. So now we have the mask, we have the stroke, and we have the fill. And we have to combine all those with the mouse coordinates as well. So let's create the mouse coordinates. Let's create the mouse coordinates, is mouse events. Oh my god, it's autocomplete. And then, like, let's say we're gonna have like this mouse equals x0, y0, and then we're gonna update them. Oh man, why do I know this stuff already? All right. And then when I have this mouse coordinates, I could create another uniform on my custom MSDF shader, which is going to be using like uMouse. And then I'm going to use it here. Boom, 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 somewhere here. Right. And then I have to set it in my, like somewhere in my request animation frame loop, I have to set it. So I have to, this material text. I mean, I could actually set it right in my mouse event loop. So if there's gonna be, I could even avoid that if I just run this one after the text creation. It's gonna be this material text uniforms uMouse value equals new 3. Mouse 6. Mouse Y, right. I think that's right. At least everything is still running good. All right, so now I have all the all the data to create this effect. First of all, let's say the uMouse is 0, 0 by default, so it's going to be in the center of my of everything. And so I'm going to remove the debug stuff. I'm going to create this like final alpha here. Final alpha equals something like, let's say final alpha equals mask. I'm not actually outputting final alpha yet. Okay, so let's say final alpha equals mask. So it's gonna be this. All right, so let's say fill. It's gonna be this. All right, and that's outline. It's gonna be this. So everything is in place. Now we could make the final like thing. So first of all, I think outline could be multiplied with mask, because the actual mask is like, it's not beautiful, but it's moving through the offset, through the outline shape of the font. So if I just multiply these two, you would get this, right? Which is kind of cool. We get this font, and we could maybe make lots of dashes like this. It's actually pretty cool what you could achieve with just those simple steps in one shader, right? I think they used 2. They just used 2 in this one. So when we see the outline, you could also see it's not really perfect at some points, but like especially I think it's at the O, you could see some artifacts here. You see it's just whitish, but you don't really see that because the text is not that big, and you're just impressed with the cool effect that you see. Another thing that I think is pretty cool is actually to have some subtle shape left. So mask should not multiply it by 0, but rather by something like, so it's minimum 0.2. Let's see what's going to happen now. So you could see now we still have some part of the shape there. So you could see where the lines are following the actual shape there. Perfect. Perfect. And the color is actually working now for me, but I could maybe use the white one. I think it's gonna be better. The white one. White. Right. It's pretty cool, right? It's pretty neat. I'm not the master. The guys at Resin are masters. That's for sure. I'm just following their path. I'm just learning a lot. All right. Also wonder what's going to happen if I really pump this value up like 50. How will it look like? Maybe it's going to be cool. You could see it's not really linear in all the places, and that's why it doesn't look cool when you pump the value up. But maybe with like value 3, it's going to be cool enough. Right. Okay. Because it's kind of hard to achieve this effect with any other way, in a performant way. Okay, so right now we also need to create this mask effect. And for this one, I'm going to use the existing function because I already created a couple of ones in my previous streams, like how to create the mask circle. So it's not that hard. I'm going to use the function that the guys used exactly because it's pretty, just another version of this one. So I'm going to go to my gists, create the circle, and that's the create circle function. I'll just go through it a little bit. So it just actually detects the mouse position. I already had the correct name because I expected myself to name it this way. And then have some radius, like 100 pixels in this particular case. And then we just subtract like the UVs on the screen from the mouse point coordinates and just do the distance from the mouse point coordinate to the actual point on the screen. And depending on the distance, you just do the smooth step, which is just like 0 or 1 values. Again, the smooth step. Smooth step is just the most important function in the WebGL, I think. So this create circle thing is actually using the viewport as well. So I need to create the viewport. And the viewport's gotta contain the width and the height of my viewport. And for this, I'm gonna go to my MSDF again. Going to be two-dimensional. I don't really have to set them anymore. I think you're not required to do that, but just, you know, obviously not doing any resizes here. This is boring. So width and the height, and well, let's now try to use this create circle function. So we have this circle, and then we could just output the debug thing for the circle. Let's see. Nothing's working so far because cannot read property x if undefined. Why is that? Probably because my viewport thing, my new viewport thing. So I have the uniform two-dimensional. Maybe I should also okay, still not. Well, at least now we don't have any errors. Is it just all white? On this channel there are 50 Russian streams as well. Okay. Why do I get this weird error? I should have got just this circle. Wrong. So inner height, inner width, everything is good. Nothing is undefined. I'm gonna just output the material. Maybe there's something wrong with my material uniforms. Let's see. We are actually getting there. So the U mouse is actually 0, 0 so far, and then the viewport kind of correct. I think that's my screen size. Okay, so let's maybe do it step by step. So first of all, I calculated this this thing. This is two-dimensional thing. Do something like this. Okay, the UVs are kind of correct. If I zoom in, these are the screen space UVs. And then. Okay, so let's get back to the circle. So instead of dist, I'm gonna return, let's say, check UVX. Seems right. And this is the y coordinates. You could obviously see like how it's being created. Oh, and then when I move the mouse, it's just everything disappears. So probably my mouse shuts everything down because something is undefined. I messed up something with the mouse. No? Oh yeah, I need to have normalized mouse position, and I'm just like having the raw mouse coordinates. I have to have something between 0 and 1. Those numbers are just way too big. And then the inner height. Like my mouse is way out of my screen space. Something is changing now, so I have to bring back the actual dist now. Still nothing is working, but why? So this mouse point has got to be between 0 and 1, and we just normalizing this right here. Let's say I want to output like this. Yeah, so it gets white on the left. Yeah, I got it, but if I stand still, my head is being cut in the stream, I think. No, it's not. It's almost good actually. Yeah, I need to pump my table, make my table higher. Okay, so I think everything is right. I have to. Why isn't it working? Let's move back to fill. For some reason my mask is not the way that I thought it would be. So this circle should just output me a black, like 0 and 1 circle on my screen. Okay, let's output the mouse. So like, if the mouse is correct now, let's move the mouse. Let's see the U mouse. So it's now between 0 and 1. It's kind of correct. And then we have the viewport, which is also correct. Probably something is 0 or something like that. So we have the viewport. We have the U mouse. U mouse is right. The viewport also seems right because the viewport UVs are right. So what's wrong then? What's wrong then? Too huge, maybe. Let's say it's gonna be 1. Maybe 0.1. No, it's divided by viewport X, so it's normalized to the like screen size. So it's gotta be right. This is some stupid mistake that I made somewhere. that be? What could that be? Boom, 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 boom. Everything seems to be right. Maybe I made a mistake in my create circle, but no, we're right. So let's just return the dist, not without the smooth steps, just the dist. And I'm gonna remove this. So the circle is actually circle. Seems kind of right. Well, at least it's rendering something. So this gotta be maybe. Oh, it's there. It's just something wrong with my mouse screen space coordinates again. So something's gotta be. Maybe I shouldn't divide this by 2. Yeah, right. I think that I just made some mistake, and then I was trying to point my mouse exactly at the shape that I was using, but it was off the shape and I couldn't see it. Yeah, it's actually here. So I'm just using the screen space coordinates and doing this stuff. So now I could bring this back. It's just some stupid error. I don't know what was wrong there. Why did I have this? So I could use what I could use here. In this formula, I'm gonna get back to this formula. Or maybe I could just, in this formula, I could just use, let's say, fill and the circle. And let's see what's gonna happen now. So I'm gonna use this. It's gonna be pretty cool, right? So right here, I could just add fill multiplied by circle. And I'm gonna have my final alpha, and I'm gonna use my final alpha on the color from the uniforms from the JavaScript. Okay, let's see. And here we go. We just got this amazing effect. Well, we did a lot of stuff, but we started from the real basic stuff. Because if I missed some steps, it's going to be pretty complicated to recreate. This was just, I mean, probably I was using this script on, this division by 2 is actually division by the pixel density, and I think I was using the other screen and the density was just 1, and I hard-coded the density there because I actually hard-coding a lot of stuff in there, because obviously this should be coming from the uniforms as well, like the pixel density, because you never know what's going to be the device. But I just hard-coded to like simplify the path to the actual effect a little bit. And then of course, obviously there are some particles, but we already spent an hour doing this, so maybe somewhere next. But the particle effect is actually not as complicated as this part, I believe, because you just create a couple of particles and you only show the particles inside the shape. So if someone says that we gotta create the particles, I can create just the static particles probably and show you how the effect works in there, right? Maybe. Okay, let's just put a static version of particles and end with that, so we could see the static version of particles. So I believe it's gonna be pretty fast. It's gonna be pretty fast. So when I'm gonna be adding objects, I'm actually, instead of the old plane, I'm gonna add all the particles there. So I will need here viewport as well. I will need here uMouse as well. I'm gonna just copy paste this. Then let's say we're gonna have flat. Like the real fast particle creation. Why am I even using this autocomplete? I'm just writing it all myself. Okay, so and then Kiao. It's like this, right? The buffer attribute, yeah, like this. I know this. And then I think I gotta use the vertical shadow. Do I even have it here? I don't, but I think I had this somewhere in my other projects. So this is a shader for particles. Right. I mean, we've done this dozens of times in my streams already, if you watch them. So these are just random coordinates on the screen somewhere. Don't really need to see. Okay, whatever. Just random coordinates. And then vertex particles shader is right there. My material is right here. Have the time, viewport, uMouse. So I have to set two materials here. The mouse value. And then there's the viewport thing, it's in there, and then I have to put them all in my shader. And then I have to put the same function. But let's first see if we are able to see the particles. I'm not adding particles yet to my screen. It's not really playing anymore. Okay, we have some particles. Why just the why just the three of them? I wonder. Where are all the rest? And why they are all in the same plane? Oh, because I'm using the wrong geometry, so I'm gonna use the geo. I'm still using the plane geometry. Okay, so now I have a bunch of particles here. I could go ahead and probably paint them red. Right. Then just go. Then what else? What else? I need to make them rounded. I think it was jail point court. Yeah. Again, smooth step. So this is going to be the distance between center something is wrong. Length. So now we have kind of a circle, and then actually just all this the other way. Here we go. Now they are circles, and then transparent true. Yeah, transparent circles. At least they should be. And then right, so now it's just circles, and then say multiply this by 3, so they're more all over the screen. And then I could go to finally to my MSDF shader, copy paste this function. It's the same exactly function. That's what I like about Resin. Actually use the same function, and then I could use the float circle again. Create circle, and then I could multiply my disk with this. I mean, with this. So you have an idea. Of course, you have to add the physics as well, and you have to position particles somewhere close to the titles. But here we go. Here we go. I think you can also make the radius a bit bigger for the particles. So kind of have this amazing effect here. And this is the effect that we created. Yet I'm not using VS Code because I'm on the old laptop. And yeah, hope you like that one. It will take some time to create the correct physics. I'm not going to go into this one in this stream. Maybe in some future streams I'm going to create some particle clouds again, but I've created them a bunch of times already in my old streams anyway. It's nothing really new. It's just have to apply some physics, which looks nice on this one. And then they also have this pretty cool effect with the connecting lines, which is also not that hard to do. You have to loop through all the points, connect the close points, and yeah. Yeah, I think it's actually the old version of it's Sublime 3, because I think the current is 4, but this is the old laptop, you know, it's 8 years old. This one is 8 years old. Still working pretty good. Still I can stream, still I can do some WebGL effects. There's a lot of bumps to create this effect, you know, like converting the shaders, doing some other stuff, but it's well worth it, you know. Of course, guys spent a lot of times on this one. I only had like maybe a day to prepare and an hour to do it during the stream, but it's pretty cool. Hope you like that one. They also have the increase of the shape, so they obviously wire this one to the uniforms, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of details that make this a perfect experience. I just wanted, this was my own like challenge to decompile like this part with the text, how to create this pretty cool text. And you can write anything, and you can like what is this, my hello? Okay, it doesn't fit into my screen. Zoom out a little bit. So yeah, have a good day, everybody. Yeah, I'm in Ukraine, I'm in Kiev now. And it's so shitty outside, so gray, so rainy. I don't want to leave after Mexico. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for supporting me in Patreon. The support for the last month was like, whoa. This is the biggest support I ever got in Patreon, and I'm really grateful for all of you guys. I hope you're having a great time with those streams and learning a lot. There's going to be a new course on the awards soon announced, hopefully, because I'm just struggling with all my time and to do everything. And well, I'm going to go through the chat real fast. Maybe there was some stuff that I missed. I'm going to try to answer. Can you suggest some resource merging GSAP and three.js? Well, I think it's kind of, I mean, it's nothing special. So you could just use the GSAP like you would use it on any other library. I think there are, if you go into the GSAP forums, they have like some unofficial small plugins to do the like rotations or moving of the objects, just to simplify the stuff a little bit. But I don't remember where really, and it's not official, but they did those plugins. I hope they will release them as the official ones. Hey, thank you for this Sublime theme. Yeah, I really like Sublime. I've been on it for like years, really. I've only switched to Visual Studio Code last year. And it still seems slow compared to the Sublime, even for the old version of the Sublime. Yay. 16 textures in one shader. Well, we could use it in WebGL too. Same way as in 3.js, we could use 16 textures. How to get started? Well, go to the book of shaders and just try. The most important thing is to try something. You can't learn something just by going to the courses and reading something. Just yeah, it's gonna be uploaded. You're gonna see it on my YouTube, just like all the other. How old is new syntax? I don't know. I think it's probably half a year already since 3.js switched to the new syntax in the shaders. I don't know, honestly. It's the moment when you started to get this error when you named your uniforms texture, and then this reserved keyword, which you can no longer name anything like with the sample or texture now. Yeah, I do work with Blender, but I'm just a newbie, just a beginner. Yeah. So thank you all, guys. I'm gonna be anyway. I'm gonna be on Twitter and chat. You can subscribe, like. It really helps to to inspire me actually to do more videos, because it's really inspiring when more people watch the streams, when somebody appreciates it, and when they let you know that they actually like the content that you're producing. And yeah, this is my last gulp of wine for this stream, and then I'm gonna wish you a good day and love everybody. Maybe drink some wine if you want to, maybe eat some watermelons or anything that you like to eat. And see you in the next one. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.